Under the grand crystal chandeliers of the city's most prestigious ballroom, the air was heavy with the scent of 1,000 white roses, of expensive champagne, and of the quiet, unspoken judgments of the very rich. Wealthy guests, in shimmering designer gowns and perfectly tailored tuxedos, whispered behind their crystal glasses as the soft, elegant notes of a grand piano echoed, almost as an afterthought in the background. In the center of this glittering and very cold room stood Evelyn Marlo, the city's most famous and most unapologetically proud millionaire heiress. Her sapphire gown glittered under the lights, and her perfect, beautiful smile was a mask, a carefully constructed piece of armor that so often and so effectively hid her cruel amusement. Facing her was Daniel Carter, the hotel's night janitor, a man she had always, and with a casual, thoughtless cruelty, dismissed as being a part of the furniture. And at his side stood a little girl, his daughter, in a simple pink dress that was slightly faded at the seams. Evelyn's voice, a sound like a mocking silver bell, rang through the hall. It wasn't an invitation, it was a joke, a dagger wrapped in the finest and very softest of silks. Before we go any deeper into this incredible story, if you believe in the profound power of kindness, of forgiveness, and of second chances, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, My Truth Story, and share this story with someone who might just need a reminder that no one's story is over until grace has had its final and very beautiful say. Daniel's own eyes burned with a mixture of a deep and very real embarrassment and a quiet, a very powerful restraint. He had no musical training. He had no polished, easy charm. He was a janitor, a ghost in their machine. But before he could even begin to speak, to apologize, to simply, and with as much dignity as he could muster, just disappear, a small voice. A voice that was trembling, but was also surprisingly and very beautifully steady, cut through the quiet, expectant hush, anew and very different. Kind of a stunned silence fell over the grand glittering ballroom. The truth was, Lily had never, not once in her entire short life, ever played on a real grand piano before. At home, in their small, cramped, and very humble apartment, they had nothing even remotely close. Just a battered old second-hand keyboard with 3 permanently broken keys. A keyboard that her own father Daniel had rescued from the curb on a rainy Tuesday and had, with a quiet and very loving patience, fixed with a roll of a thick, black electrical tape just so that she, his beloved daughter, could have something, anything, to tinker with after school. Lily's own mother had passed away years ago. A quiet and very sad victim of a long and very expensive illness. And the little girl had, in the long, lonely years that had followed, found a deep and very real comfort in the world of music, even if it was only in the clumsy, hesitant notes that she would play in the dim, quiet glow of their small apartment's single and very precious lamp. That night, in that grand and very intimidating ballroom, her small, delicate hands looked impossibly tiny against the polished and very perfect black and ivory keys, the brilliant, blinding reflection of the massive crystal chandelier shimmering like a captured and very distant star above her head. The people in that room, the powerful and very beautiful people, they expected her to fail. They expected her to embarrass herself and her poor, simple janitor father even more. But Lily's small and very brave heart was not weighed down by their cruel and very empty expectations. It was carried by something else entirely. It was carried by the soft, beautiful memories of her own mother's gentle and very loving lullabies. It was carried by the quiet and very profound weight of her own father's endless and very silent sacrifices. It was carried by every single long day he had worked without a single word of a complaint, just so that she, his daughter, could have a life with even a single, solitary shred of a beauty in it. Daniel's own work-hardened hands clenched into tight, white-knuckled fists as his daughter slid onto the plush velvet bench of the grand piano. He wanted to run to her, to pull her away, to protect her from the cruel and very public stares and the ugly, condescending laughter that he knew, with a father's painful and very real certainty, would surely and very soon come. But there, with something in her eyes, a quiet, powerful, and very beautiful fire. A certainty that told him, with a silent and very final authority, that she needed to do this. Her small, delicate fingers moved. Hesitantly at first, each note a carefully and very bravely chosen word in a story only she could tell. And then, as if carried by a powerful and very unseen current, she began to play. She played with a confidence, with a grace, with a soul so profound that it seemed to weave a melody so tender, so beautiful, so full of a quiet and very real pain that it felt as though it could mend the broken cracks in every single lonely heart in that entire glittering room. The conversations, which had been so full of a bored and very empty chatter just moments before, halted completely. The crystal glasses were set down without a sound on the white linen tablecloths. The wealthy guests who, just a few short moments ago, had been smirking at the poor little janitor's daughter, now found themselves caught completely and utterly in the powerful, emotional gravity of her music. And even Evelyn, the beautiful and very untouchable Evelyn, who was standing so regally, so confidently at the center of her own perfect universe, felt something stirred deep within her, something she had not allowed herself to feel in years. But the path to that one, single, transformative night had been paved with more hardship, more pain, and more quiet, unseen sacrifices than anyone in that glittering and very privileged room could ever possibly imagine. Daniel, her father, had been working at the Marlo estate for over a decade, cleaning the floors that were so polished you could see your own tired reflection in them, hauling the heavy and very smelly garbage out in the pouring rain, fixing the leaky, forgotten pipes in the dead and very cold of winter. He had been invisible, just another silent shadow in the vast and very bright periphery of their perfect, luxurious lives. The very same guests who were now so captivated by his daughter's music had seen him, in his simple gray janitor's uniform, 1,000 times before, but they had never, not for a single solitary second, ever truly looked at him. And when Evelyn, their beautiful and very powerful queen, had made her cruel, very public mocking offer, it hadn't just been about the piano. It had been a sharp and very pointed reminder of his place in their eyes. The janitor, the help, the man from the other and very forgotten side of the city. The side where the streetlights flickered and the buses always ran late. But his daughter's song, it told a very different and much more powerful story. It told of the long, lonely nights when Daniel had skipped his own dinner so that she could have seconds. It told of the grueling, back-breaking days when he had worked the double shifts and had still, somehow, come home with enough energy to read her the very same tattered and very beloved bedtime story her own mother used to read to her. It told a story of a quiet and very beautiful resilience, of a profound and very real love, and of the unshakable and very powerful belief that a real and very true beauty could exist, even in the smallest and most forgotten corners of the world. The final beautiful note of the song lingered in the air like a whispered and very sacred promise. And for a long, breathless, and very profound moment, no one in that room moved. And then slowly, the applause began. It was hesitant at first, a few uncertain claps, and then it swelled into a roaring and very overwhelming and very heartfelt standing ovation. Evelyn's own eyes, which had been so full of a cold and very cruel amusement just a few short and now very long moments before, had softened. But Daniel, her father, he didn't notice her. He only saw his daughter, his beautiful, brave, and very brilliant daughter, her own small, young face now flushed with the effort, looking up at him as if to say, "I did it, Daddy. I did it for you." He knelt down beside her on the stage and he pulled her into his arms. And in that one, single, and very beautiful moment, it didn't matter what Evelyn thought or what the powerful, wealthy guests believed. His own pride in his daughter was immeasurable, and his own love for her was completely and utterly unshakable. In the days that followed, word of the little girl's incredible performance spread, not just beyond the ballroom, but through the entire city. A philanthropist who had been in the audience that night, a man who had been moved to tears by her music, offered to fund Lily's entire musical education from that day forward. Letters of admiration poured in, some from complete strangers who had been inspired by her story to pick up the instruments they themselves had abandoned years ago. Others from parents who understood with a deep and very real empathy the quiet and very powerful love of a child. Evelyn herself sent a letter. It was not a letter of a continued cruel mockery, but a quiet and very simple letter of apology. It came with a formal and very generous scholarship offer for Lily from the Marlo Foundation for the Arts, and Daniel accepted. Not because he had so easily forgiven the insult, but because he knew that this was a door his talented and very deserving daughter deserved to walk through. Years later, Lily would play in the grand and very famous concert halls of the world, her own beautiful name now shining in bright gold letters on tall, elegant banners. She would often speak of that one single night in the ballroom as the moment she had truly found her courage. The night her music had so completely and so beautifully silenced the ugly laughter and had turned the quiet and very cruel judgment into a profound and very real awe. And Daniel, her father, who would always be sitting in the front row, would watch her with the same swelling pride in his heart, knowing that his daughter had not only answered a cruel and very public challenge, but that she had, in the end, rewritten the entire and very beautiful ending of a story they were never ever meant to win. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to my truth story. Your support helps us keep telling stories that remind us all of the beautiful and often very hidden humanity in all of us, and of the profound and very real power of a love, of a courage, and of a second chance. And before we end, we have a special request. Tell us in the comments, if you had one single chance to prove the entire world wrong, what would you do? We would love to hear your story.